Welcome to Weir's Dojang, another Tuesday training tip. I'm Instructor Weir, and today we're going to talk about taking a person from their back and getting them onto their belly. Okay, it's very important to be able to put a person in a position in which they have very little they can do to attack you. And on their belly, when they're flat on the ground, it's a much easier way to control a person and safer way to control a person than when they're on their back. When they're on their back, they can turtle, they can move around. It's a lot harder to make sure that they are locked to the ground. The belly is much better, so let's talk about how to get them from their back to their belly. All right, so we want to talk about how to get a person from their back to their belly. There's quite a few different ways of doing it, and we're going to break down a few of them right now. Okay, so the first thing we want to do when we're dealing with taking a person from their back to their belly is utilize momentum. So in this case, we're going to use a wrist out turn, and as soon as he hits the ground, I'm going to do a quick little shake of his arm, which is actually going to get him to spin. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so wrist out turn here. Okay, we're going to do that again from the other angle. Wrist out turn here. Okay, that little manipulation of the arm gets him to roll over. What's actually happening there is as he hits the ground, I'm lifting, turning, and pulling. Okay, and that's going to give him, using that momentum is going to get him to go to his belly. Once he's on his belly, much easier to lock, much more controlled situation, okay, than when he's on his back. So let's talk about a couple other ways. Mike, go ahead and get back down. He's down, and now we can't use momentum. Okay, so he's already flat on the ground. So let's talk about how we can use the elbow to roll him over to his belly. First thing we always want to do is make sure that we are pulling up. We want to make sure that he's coming off the ground right here. Okay? Now, we're going to keep our foot nice and tight. I'm going to use my knee, I'm going to put it right on his elbow, and I'm going to drag this way. So lift, step, drag. Now he's locked, he's down, I can walk around his head. Okay? You never want to step over him. Okay? Because if something happens, he can come up, you could trip, you could fall. There's so many things that could go wrong when you're stepping over a person. You want to make sure that you're going around them. Using that same principle of the elbow, we can actually just use our hand and push. Okay? Arm is locked, allows me to manipulate it. Drive his shoulder to the floor, and that puts him right to the ground. Using the wrist as leverage as well. So again, rolling him over, push on the elbow, push down the hand, and flip him over. One last one with the elbow is the fingers. Same principle. We're going to be able to take him, lock out that elbow, get a hyperextension of the elbow, and that's going to cause him to roll. If the elbow bends, you're not going to be able to do it. So how do we do it when the elbow bends? One of the ways is through a bone stand. As soon as I apply that pressure, the torque in the hand, he wants to roll. And if I take his elbow and pulling it in and bend it, it creates a tremendous amount of pain, and he'll comply and he'll roll right over. Okay, so using that bone stand, using that pain to be able to roll him over is a big one. The last one we want to do is kind of the mean one. We're going to attack his shoulder, okay? We're going to attack right into the joint, and I'm going to do it with my heel. So he just hit the ground. He's stubborn. For whatever reason, I can't get the elbow to lock. I can't get that lift up. I'm just going to step over and step right on that shoulder. He's going to pop over so fast, it's not even funny. I can drop my knee to the back. I've got him locked down now. Think about a woman wearing heels doing this. That's going to do a lot of pain and damage into that shoulder. Great technique to use. Okay, so again, we want to make sure that we are locking out this elbow and causing him to roll. Once we have him locked, we want to make sure that we're walking around the head. Great, so as you can see, there's several different ways that we can get a person to go from their back to their belly. Again, when they're on their back, they have a lot of other things that they can do. When they're on their belly, I like to refer to it as they have to do something before they do something. When the person's on their belly, they typically have to move to be able to move their body. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're getting them onto their belly, controlling them onto the belly. Use that elbow hyperextension, use some pain in the fingers, the bone stand, and stepping on that shoulder is a nasty one, but works great. Train hard, be good to each other, and Hapkido.